Welcome to That Guy Talks Movies. I'm That Guy Talking Movies, and on this episode, I want to talk about a film I have been very much anticipated seeing, and I got to see it last night. That is F1, starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris and Javier Bardem, Kerry Condon, and it's directed by Joseph Kosinski, the guy who brought us Top Gun Maverick. And Joseph Kosinski here takes Formula One racing and basically gives us the same thrills and chills that you got inside the cockpit of fighter planes, except it's in F1. It's in these cars. And I got to be honest with you, right from the beginning, before we get into this spoiler-free review, I will say not much of a race car enthusiast. I enjoy a couple of race car movies. I like the original Steve McQueen. I like Le Mans. I like that movie. Actually, really do like that movie a lot. I really love Ron Howard's Rush. It's probably my favorite race car movie, and I'll probably get into a little bit of why that is when I talk about F1. But Rush was an incredible movie. I thought Ford versus Ferrari with Christian Bale and Matt Damon, with that whole history of the Ford, the Shelby racing car, and that whole legend of that vehicle. I thought that was great. And of course, Days of Thunder comes into mind, right? Tom Cruise, Days of Thunder. Okay, great. This F1 film, though, this really sets the bar, I think, for actual racing and filming in cockpits and having actual actors in the actual cockpit. And I will tell you from the start, again, before we get into anything else about the film, that it is a film that is definitely a must-see on the big screen. I talk about this often. I think it's probably the most valuable thing in a film review nowadays is like whether or not you should waste your time going to a theater, whether you need to go to a theater, whether it's critical, or if you can watch something at home. And I will tell you up front, as far as the value goes of this video, I will encourage you and I implore you to go see this film for other reasons besides the obvious, but you need to go see this in a theater. It's not something to wait to get on 4K. It's not something to wait for it to start streaming on Apple Television. It is something you need to go into the theater and see, because Joseph Kosinski and company has really produced something that is exhilarating and thrilling to look at on the largest screen possible. I say this all the time about certain films require it. It's mandatory. I had a discussion recently with someone, a friend of mine, and I often say when we talk about Dunkirk, for example, I watched Dunkirk recently, and I was just, again, riveted by the visuals of that film. And I remember seeing it in IMAX. I believe I saw that in IMAX twice. And it's a film where if you see it later and you didn't see it in the theater, it's a totally different movie. Totally different movie. So going back to F1, thrilling race car sequences, and the way it's done is phenomenal. Let's get into the story. Stars Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes, who's an aging race car driver he's sort of a has-been, never was, sort of a guy who had potential, then had a pretty bad situation happen to him, and then he winds up kind of like drifting in life and living his life out of a van and doing random race car circuits here and there, kind of, I guess, to kind of keep his love going. He's somebody who truly has a passion for the sport, but doesn't care about all the superfluous stuff surrounding it. He's not concerned with fame. He's not concerned with money. He's not concerned with the media and all that other stuff, right? And then you have Damson Idris, who plays on this Apex, Formula One team, which is owned by Javier Bardem. And Damson Idris is the rookie driver on this particular team. The team is not doing very well. They are ranked like last. They're on the verge of being bought out. So Javier Bardem, who actually owns the team, he's in a precarious situation where he's about to get taken over, or the board's going to basically sell the team, and this is critical for them. So they bring in Sonny Hayes, who's Brad Pitt's character, to kind of reinvigorate the team and see what they can do, right? They need another driver in addition to the rookie driver. So it's the classic formulaic story of the old geezer coming in and teaching the young whippersnapper some new things. And that's what this really is. Very formulaic movie, very by the book, sort of templated storyline. The old guy and the young guy, there's going to be some rivalry there. They're going to learn to, respect one another, and they each have something to teach. That's what this really is, right? But I'm telling you, you will not care about the plot. You will not care about the screenplay. You will not care about some of the cheesy dialogue and some of the, again, formulaic plot points in this film. You will simply not care. Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt brings the gravitas of Brad Pitt. He's probably, to me, he's the coolest dude in film. Like, he's Brad Pitt. You can put Brad Pitt in pretty much any movie. You put a Brad Pitt in a movie about chickens grazing on a farm somewhere, and it's going to be a cool flick because it's Brad Pitt. He brings that in his older years. I mean, the guy is in his 60s right now. He's playing a role, I think in the movie, he's supposed to be like 50 something, but still, he just brings it. He's got the voice, the gravelly voice. He's got the looks. He's Brad Pitt. Damson Idris, on the flip side of that, brings the same cool factor and wow factor to this that just makes you go, okay, wow, it's cool playing against cool, right? Which really, really works, right? You don't want to have it too unbalanced. And I think Damson Idris, as a young up-and-coming film star, plays well with Brad Pitt in this film. The rivalry works, the relationship works without being too corny. It's not too overdone, and it works. I also think Damson Idris has a really good grasp on playing the cool guy, but also being very vulnerable. There are scenes in this film where, specifically with his mother, where you get a sense that he's still very much just a boy, right? And that's kind of what this is this guy who's only done 6 films. I think he's done like 6, 7 films, Damson Idris, right? And he's got a couple more in the pipeline, but the reality here, the parallel between reality and the actual characters in the film are Damson Idris being this young rookie, actor playing against a veteran actor like Brad Pitt, this older guy. But the only difference being that Brad Pitt's not on his way out per se, and it's not like he's unaccomplished. He's highly accomplished, right? But it is interesting to see that, and I do think Damson Idris has a hell of a future. Javier Bardem is Javier Bardem. Again, another cool dude that no matter what you put Javier Bardem in, he's just going to be that dude. So Javier Bardem. Kerry Condon, could care less about the actual romantic lead here. There is a slight romantic thing happening here with her. You have to have that in a film. Again, formula, but thank God it doesn't overwhelm the actual picture. They don't go down that path, right? It's explored, but very mildly. And thank God for that, because this is, again, all about the F1 driving. And if you weren't an F1 fan, you weren't into that, you're going to find yourself wanting to watch F1. That's what happened with me. I sat there watching this. I was like, man, I want to learn about F1 now. I want to see what all the hype is about. I know of Lewis Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton, who actually has some parts in this, some cameos and such. And he had a lot to do with some of the details and consulting on this film with Joseph Kosinski and company to get all the details right. So I found myself sitting there going, wow, I kind of want to watch F1 now. I want to get into this whole thing and learn about F1, and started Wikipediaing, F1 and how it works and who the top people are and how, I just want to get into it now because of this film. And if you can walk away from a film, especially a 2.5 hour film, right? Could have been a little shorter, right? But if you can walk away from a 2.5 hour film and not feel like it was 2.5 hours, and you feel invigorated, you feel sort of a new appreciation for some sport or something, then the film did its job. And I do think it did its job. I think if there's any low points to talk about, again, it might be the length. They could have cut a little bit out. Not a big deal though. You never feel yourself actually sitting there going, oh my God, when is it going to end? That does not happen, thank God. And it is the racing, the stuff from the cockpit, watching some of the crashes, watching the actual races themselves, the aerial shots, from the cockpit shots, from behind shots, from the front shots, the side shots, all the viewing angles of the racing. You get a sense of the intensity of that driving atmosphere, the speed that which these cars are driving at. It's just insane. I'm not a Formula One guy in terms of knowing the actual sport. So perhaps somebody who's a Formula One person is going to sit there and dissect it a little different than I am. I'm watching it as a film lover and someone who wants to be thrilled when I paid $26 to see this film. That's how I'm watching it. And I am telling you, you will probably see it the same way. If you're watching this channel, you're a film lover, you're just somebody who wants to be thrilled, this is the film. Again, not going to win anything for best screenplay, best performances. Everyone does their job. Javier Bardem, Kerry Condon, Damson Idris, and of course, Brad Pitt. Everyone delivers. It's a great film. I thought it was worth watching in a theater. I'm telling you, you have to see it in a theater, so please do so. That's really it. That's all I have to say about it. I'm not going to give any spoilers. There are some moments where I thought it went back and forth with a repetitive nature a couple of times here and there, and I was like, wait, what? There's some payoffs, and then you feel like, oh, is this going to work out or is it not going to work out? And then you're like, well, when is this going to work out? But anyway, I don't want to ramble too long about this film. I think it's a fantastic film. It's worth watching in the theaters. It's all about the F1. So go into it with that perspective. And that's really it. All right. Let me know if you plan on seeing it. Let me know if you've seen it and how you feel about it. I know it opens today. This is Friday, June 27th. Let me know what you think. If you have seen it, in the comments below, hit the like button on the way out. It really helps everything. Subscribe if you've not subscribed. To the people who have subscribed, people who watch my videos, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next That Guy Talks Movies. Peace.